Hello, everybody. Matt here. Today we're going to be doing a tier list for Apex Legends Season 25. Just as a warning, this is before the season has come out, and this is just a speculation based on the changes along with the recent ALGS, along with just competitive in general. So, first off, we're going to have Alter. Alter is still incredibly dominant, even though she got nerfed along with the rest of the skirmisher classes. She still has all of her utility, but removing the tack on refresh makes her no longer a must pick. I think she has still the same amount of support capability. However, as we're going to see later, with the new recon that I believe will be meta, I think she just has a little bit less utility, making her not necessary in every team comp. Still, in my opinion, the best character in the game right now. Next up, we're gonna have Ashe. Ashe is around an A tier right now. She got nerfed pretty hard, taking her mobility and rotation abilities away. Not to a point where she's unplayable, but to where she's just slightly less dominant than she was. She's still a fighting machine, just not as useful in a team competitive setting. Once again, uh, the All Assault Legends got nerfed, removing the attack scan on cracking of shields, along with reducing the time you see the health bar slightly. Next up, we have Ballistic. Ballistic is still S tier, even with the nerf. He is still just insane. Along with the movement speed and all the other buffs you get from his ult, he is able to run in single-handedly team wipe, or with your entire team, there's just no counterplay. He is still unbelievably dominant, and he will stay that way until his ult gets changed. He had no direct nerfs, however, again, the Assault Legends all got nerfed in the same way. Next up, we have Bangalore. Bangalore, while not having any direct nerfs, the removal of the attack scan has completely destroyed her utility. I think unless you're playing at the highest level of Apex competitive in ALGS, she just doesn't have that utility she once had. Not being able to see through the smoke once you crack somebody has really removed the utility that she had last season. And I think she went from around a A or B to down to a D. She still has that rotation ability, but it's just not nearly as strong. Next up, we have Bloodhound. Bloodhound, I think, sadly gets an E. In this tier, we're looking at the characters who are just outclassed by everyone else in their tier. He is still able to get that scan that he always has had, and still has some amount of utility, but it's just not nearly as much as he's once been capable of. Catalyst is up next. Catalyst is a high B. Catalyst has so much potential. She is incredible for rotation abilities because, unlike Bangalore, she doesn't require you to see the other person because no matter what, it's going to be not shown through the wall. She is able to lock down sites completely, and she has so much more flexibility than anyone else in the controller class. The one thing holding her back is that as recon characters are getting buffed this season, well, not directly buffed, we just have one character that is truly viable. It's going to be much harder to lock down sites. And so that's why I don't think she goes in A or S tier. Caustic is still an F. He really provides no utility, and all of his traps are breakable. I just don't think he's playable right now. Conduit is going into C tier. She's very good. She just got a buff. However, again, I think there are just the revive capabilities of other supports that we'll see later on in the list are much higher. If you want to go an aggressive support, this is definitely your choice. Now that Lifeline has been reworked to no longer be as much as a combat medic as I would have liked. Crypto's up next. Crypto is a very niche character. If you are incredible at Crypto, he is the best character in the game. But that's the problem. Most people aren't that good at Crypto. Crypto requires you to be an IGL, be able to understand where all the teams are, be able to understand the map knowledge, all of that, and while still having the same amount of fighting capability as any other character. He provides an entry which is very good, and he can still scan consoles, not consoles. He can still scan survey beacons, but with all that being said, they did nerf his recon potential now that he can no longer just stay invisible for the whole game. So with that, he's gonna go in low C. Fuse is up next. Fuse has the best entry damage of any character in the game. Fuse is very, very good. That being said, entry damage just isn't as necessary in a non-ALGS setting. In a non-competitive setting, he is still incredibly good and provides that entry and poke damage. But when you aren't playing with very scrappy resources and you're not playing low resources, he just doesn't do that much. That being said, he can still entry very well. He also can scan well. That so with that, he goes low B. Gibraltar is up next, Gibby. He goes in E tier. He is good, but the problem is other support characters are just better. He requires you to take away space, and the meta we have now, you just have enough space to play with so many rotational characters, especially with Pathfinder getting buffed. He's just not nearly as good as he once dominated, especially along with Crypto and Mad Maggie being decent characters now and being able to break his Dome Shield once again. He just doesn't have a place in the meta. Horizon is up next. Horizon is high D tier. Without the without the attack refresh, she doesn't have the same amount of capability she did have last season, and even last season she wasn't incredible. If you're a controller menace, then you can definitely get away with playing her and just taking down teams all by yourself, but that's not very likely to happen for the average player. Next up, we have Lifeline. Lifeline is a high A tier. Lifeline definitely has that revive capability that a lot of characters lack. She is able to just revive mid-fight, and she has an incredible reset tool in her ultimate. Her tactical is definitely one of the weaker parts of her kit, but it does allow you to carry more ammo, which in this meta isn't nearly as useful as it could be. So that's why she's not S tier. Loba's up next. I've always said that Loba is a solo menace. I think she's very good in a multitude of ways, just not needing the same amount of time looting that other characters do, along with being the best rat character. She is a great pickup for today. Mad Maggie is up next. Mad Maggie is a difficult one. I am putting her in B tier because I believe that she is being used very well right now. She's very aggressive, but without the same amount of without the same amount of scan, I think she's even better this season. I think that with her Warlord's Ire passive, she's able to create that entry damage that Fuse just isn't able to create. Because of that, I think she goes in high B. However, I can see her going lower as the season progresses if uh, Ballistic does not get nerfed. Mirage is up next. Mirage, really his only capability is the fact that you can get all perk classes. The fact that you can scan beacons, both beacons, as well as all the support perks along with opening bins. While it doesn't grant you more Evo, I think it can be very useful, along with him generally playing more like a skirmisher mid-fight. I think he's a fine character, but just not the best in any way. Newcastle is up next. Newcastle provides utility like no other character. Newcastle can create shields, can lock down places, along with being an incredible fighter character and a combat medic. I think he's unmatched in his flexibility. And I think because of that, he's S tier. Octane is up next. Octane has only gotten worse with the nerf. Octane is still the worst character in the game. Taking that amount of damage just isn't worth it, even if you get the two upgrades. He is still the worst character in the game, and not having the tack refresh, or rather the ultimate refresh, just kills him completely. Pathfinder is up next. Pathfinder's gotten massive buffs this season, including a 50% damage reduction on the zipline into his base kit, along with a very short tack refresh. I think he is an incredible pickup. He provides the best rotations, as well as is a general just menace to fight against and to walk away from. I think the only reason I wouldn't put him the top of S is because Alter can provide utility for the entire team, whereas he can provide utility only to himself and his team slightly with his ultimate. That being said, I do think you should be picking him up if you haven't looked at him in a while. Rampart is up next. Rampart is still a decent character. While she doesn't have the same capabilities as someone like Catalyst, she has that damage output that is seen from a lot of Assault characters. And right now, I think being a controller character is better than Assault, funny enough. I think that her ability to lock down stuff isn't as good as Newcastle and isn't as much of damage as someone like Fuse, Mad Maggie. So for that reason, she's going in C. Revenant's up next. Revenant without the double tack cooldown, I think, is much, much worse than he was. I think because of this, he's going bottom of C. But if you can master that large hitbox and you can find all the head glitches, I think you can go B. But if you're at that point, you should be playing with your team more, in which case he just isn't nearly as relevant. I think for that reason, he's in a kind of weird territory where he's a good, skillful entry and fragger. But if you are at that level, then you should be playing someone else that collabs with your team more. Sears up next. Sears F tier still. While he's slightly better than Caustic and Octane, it's really not by much. And especially with the next character we're gonna see, he just doesn't have the same utility. I hope he doesn't get buffed, however, because those metas suck. Next up is the new character Sparrow. Sparrow, I have a lot to say. I think his movement is incredible. I think it is some of the best movement we've seen in the game, better than Octane's, potentially better than Ash. I think that people are going to find more and more ways to love him, along with him being a great character outside of fights and entering fights. I think matching with Fuse along with the ability to play somewhat like an Ash, being unable to be hit, I think he easily goes top of A. The only reason I don't put him S is because I'm not sure he's nearly as dominant as the rest are. Valkyrie is up next. Valkyrie's rotation abilities are very good, but we just have so many other characters that are just better than Valkyrie right now for rotations. And while Broken Moon isn't in the map pool for ranked this season, I just don't think she's nearly as good. For that reason, she's going top of D. Next up is Vantage. Vantage is going in E tier. Once again, we have a recon character that is meta, and so Vantage just doesn't really have a place. While she has the ability to scan ring consoles along with survey beacons, it's slightly worse than Mirage because she doesn't have that support perk, and her movement is really bad and hard to use. And if you want to play a movement character similar to her, just play Pathfinder. Next up is Watson. Watson can be, I should say, a dominant character. She can lock down sites, but I think that locking down sites just isn't nearly as good with Sparrow coming into the meta. I think for that reason, she's going bottom of C. Finally is Wraith. Wraith did get a pretty hard nerf with the Skirmisher change, but I think she still has her place in the meta. I think she goes bottom of A tier. She can solo very well and play by herself, or she can scout with team and be a good IGL. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you want to share this list, feel free. I don't care if you credit me, it is fine. All right, have a good day.